Like the military, you have your intelligence, you have your weapons people, you have your generals, you have
sergeants, enforcers.
Yeah, they're real structured.
With the Mexican Mafia and the disruptive group, the Sureños, they have a very defined set of rules. They have a structured exercise program.
So we allow predatory territorial inmates in the same area. They're going to be watching out for themselves, and that's how they do it. I mean, we do it. That's how we're set up. We have a structured system. I'm a sergeant. He's an officer. He works with me. I work with a lieutenant. I report to the lieutenant to the captain, on up the chain.
From their isolation in the shoe, gang leaders control the drug trade in the general population yards.
There's one individual from the prison gang that's responsible for each of the general population yards throughout the state and relay certain messages, and they give intelligence reports.
While the gangs are gathering intelligence on their rivals, the squad is busy gathering intelligence on them.
Just in the classroom.
You're just walking through?
I have permission to be on the computer.
What do you do now?
My file.
You're out there with inmates every day. You're not becoming friends with them, but you got to get to know them. Just like working in a hotel, you got to kind of know your clients, who's checking in and who's checking out.
I want to go clean my house up, see what all y'all took.
Well, we didn't take nothing from you.
Oh, you didn't?
We're screening the mail. We're looking at that. We monitor phone calls. We monitor visits. We see if these inmates are developing any patterns that we can pick up on and follow through on our investigation. Sometimes we have confidential informants relay information to us that, hey, on such and such a date, you should be expecting a package coming in that has narcotics in it.
One of the squad's major goals is to prevent gang leaders in the shoe from ordering hits on prisoners within Pelican Bay's general population.
They give an intelligence report to the guys in shoe. So if a guy ends up on this general population yard and he's in some kind of bad standing, the guy back there in shoe will get the word back out here, hey, I want that guy attacked. I want him assaulted. We need to take care of business.
For prison gangs throughout the state, Pelican Bay has become an intelligence hub, with gang leaders ordering hits not just in prison, but on the streets.
What the prison gangs do is through fear and intimidation, through murder, through assaults, not only on the individual, but they've gone as far as assaulting wives, parents, cause these street gang members to participate and do what they need to do on the streets.
Next, the squad polices Pelican Bay's dangerous prison yards.
Line it up, fellas. We're going to search it. Come on. What is going on? Yeah, we got him.
The first duty of the day for Pelican Bay's security squad is to walk the fences.
Our number one priority would be the security of the institution, to ensure that all inmates that are in prison stay in prison, they don't escape.
The 275 acres are surrounded by electrified fence. Its lethal voltage has never been tested by an inmate. There has never been an escape from Pelican Bay's maximum security. Fence check is followed by the morning briefing.
The squad, of course, is very cognizant of when you're collecting evidence to make sure that using gloves, not getting fingerprints on the weapons, maintaining the integrity of any fingerprints. A lot of our convictions depend on us determining which inmates the weapons may belong to. The ME in particular is really good at housing a inmate serving life with a non-lifer. And that's causing us problems because when we find a weapon in the cell, the inmate that's doing life automatically claims possession of the weapon because he knows we're not going to prosecute a lifer. It's not worth the district attorney's time to do that.
We don't like to keep inmates locked down in their cells long because idle time is bad time. They get thinking about bad things and they act accordingly sometimes. So if we can get them out of your program, it's a good thing for everybody.
When the inmates are out in the yard, the squad keeps them under constant surveillance.
By watching the yards, you can actually identify certain inmates, the role they may play within a disruptive group. Maybe they're somebody that a lot of people come up and shakes their hand, which shows they have a lot of respect.
They go by AKAs a lot as monikers. They do that for security reasons because even though some of these guys think they're homeboys with each other, they're really not. Hispanic inmates, they'll use payaso, which means clown, nacho. Black gangs, they call each other C-Loke, C-Note, Stag. White guys, Woody, Caveman.
A general population yard has an anatomy of its own. Hispanics in one area, the Asians in one area, the blacks in one area. They're not there by chance. That's their territory that they've worked out on the yards amongst themselves. There's a purpose they're there. Nobody will go in their area. Nobody will sit on their tables. It would be a sign of disrespect if they did that.
Each ethnic group will post up as far as providing security. They're watching all the other inmates, and plus they're watching us to see what's going on.
Most of your violence does happen on the mainline yards, and that's been proven in the past history of the yards.
The squad patrols the yards looking for drugs and weapons, or perhaps that key piece of information that might solve or prevent a crime.
A lot of a little information leads to something big usually, and that's how we usually crack the cases, and it works good. Our main thing is suspicious behavior. Anybody that looks like they don't want us looking at them, we're going to go search them. We're going to go over here and put these guys in the fence. Come on, give us a hand. Things are good. Things are real good. Sun's out. Everything's beautiful. Line it up, fellas. We're going to search it. Come on. Playing some basketball. You ought to try to hook up a game with 8 yards, man. What is going on? Another thing that's really important to look for on a yard is an inmate that's being isolated. If an inmate's isolated by himself, he may be in trouble with the other inmates. He's out there walking alone by himself. It's an indicator. You need to look for that. You need to watch that guy. You need to watch for groups of 2 or 3. If you got a lot of inmates walking around a yard in groups of 2 to 3, and there's a whole bunch of those groups walking around these yards, that's something else to be concerned about, to watch for. They're setting themselves up, usually, not always, setting themselves up for an attack on somebody.
The yards at Pelican Bay have gained the reputation of killing fields, the place where orders issued by a gang leadership are executed.
Sometimes they don't want to hurt them that bad. You know, sometimes they just want to, what they call, check them. You know, put them in check. They just want to maybe just hit them a little bit, you know, scar them maybe.
When it comes to the prison gangs, they have a terminology. One's called soft candy and one's called hard candy. If you're targeted for assault and you're soft candy, that usually means 1 or 2, maybe a few more of the guys associated or affiliated with that gang will beat up the victim. Beat him up pretty severely to send a message, and that would be considered soft candy. A hard candy assault, another term for that would be being in the hat. They're going to kill you. And the first opportunity they get to, they're going to kill you.
If a certain ethnic group's going to clean house, as far as stabbing one of their own, they'll tell the other ethnics, hey, we're going to handle some business today. Keep your people out of the way.
I've seen guys actually get stabbed, take the weapon away and stab the guy back that stabbed them. And they're fighters too. I mean, just because they're a victim doesn't mean they aren't a fighter. These guys are tough. They're straight tough. They've learned to survive. They have the instinct to survive. I've seen inmates survive multiple stab wounds that would just, you would think would kill the average person. And they just sit there. Let the MTA check them out. Don't say a word. They're tough.
Out in the yards, the inmates are constantly watched by the tower guards and members of the squad. They are always on the lookout for a conflict that might escalate into an all-out prison riot.
As you can see, the staff are all gathering around. They're keeping an eye. There's guys in the peripheral of the inmates, and there's officers up in the areas where they're going to be walking through and patting them down. You got all the armed post guns standing at the windows right now looking out. You got an armed position up here. That's the central tower. Observation post, and he's watching real close right now.
The tower gunner stands ready with CN gas, or if necessary, lethal force.
I spent 5 years on the guns in armed positions watching yards, and I know one thing, that everything's going good, and all of a sudden you look up and the inmates took off for some reason. They don't take off ever unless something's going to happen. Here
on the yard, it's just a lot of noise, a lot of conversation going on, and they're looking at us, and it goes real quiet, and when it happens, it's like, okay, there it goes.
When violence breaks out, it's the duty of the officers to intervene and save the inmates' lives.
Whenever you enter one of those gates and you see that you have 100 to 200 inmates involved, and the first thing that's running through your mind is you're thinking, how in the world are we going to get this thing under control?
You don't know what you're really running into, if it's just a fist fight, if there's weapons involved, are they setting us up to get us to run out in their area so they can attack us? This all goes through your head as you're running towards the incident.
The squad must identify the perpetrators and instigators while stopping the violence. This officer was severely injured by an attacking inmate.
You always have to be aware of your surroundings.